So good afternoon, everybody. This is my third grade water use analysis. Let me share my screen. All right, so good morning, everybody. This is my third grade water use sample analysis that I did. I am Mrs. Horton, and this is my analysis. So to begin off, just starting with some of the students' personal strengths that she had, because I know sometimes we forget to share a strength because we're so focused on the weaknesses and the deficits that the students have, but it's important to start off and share a strength. So a strength I noticed in the student sample, her writing sample, was that she had an introductory question hook. And we all know that as writers and readers, having a hook can really draw the reader in before they even begin reading your writing sample. And this will let them know if they're even interested in continuing to read. So having that hook can really draw someone in. So the student started the writing out by saying, what can I do to save water? So right then and there, having this hook and having this question, this alone lets the reader know what the basis of her reading was already going to be about. And it kind of drew me into her reading just by having that hook at the beginning of it. The student also listed more than one component on ways to save water. So she wasn't just listing one, which we know that you should have multiple ways or examples whenever you're writing about something or whenever you're discussing something. So she had listed a quick shower could be a way to save water, how you can use buckets as an outside source when it rains to fill up those buckets and help save water, as well as whenever you're not using the water in your house, turn it off when the water is not in use. So the student had multiple components on ways to save water. The student also used a few academic language words, which is important because whenever you're teaching those different content areas, whether it's reading, whether it's science, you want to make sure students have those vocabulary words whenever they're discussing that topic or whenever they're talking about the learning and lesson segment that's your own. So some of the academic language words she used was pollute, earth, she used plastic, she used all those language words, which I'm sure were vocabulary words, and she used it in her writing. So this is helping to build upon her word knowledge, her vocabulary, as well as her comprehension of that topic. The student also had a concluding statement. So she said, please save water. And although it was short, this is still a strength because you're ending off your writing and you want to remind the reader of the topic and what you want that reader to do. So after she shared a few facts about water use, she summed it up in the end to saying to save water to prevent those problems because that's what she wanted the reader to do. So I identified this as a strength. Although it was a short concluding statement, it was still a strength that she provided this in her writing. She also included a personal opinion, which we all know is important that after that hook, you want to have some type of personal opinion to go along with that. So she said that lots of people waste water every day. Some people don't even have 5 to 2 gallons every day. It's important to have an opinion in writing because this can be another way to help draw the reader in and make your reader want to read more about what you're saying. So she had a hook as well as she included a personal opinion of what she thought. So now we're going to get into our weaknesses. So a weaknesses that the student had was her sequential order. So we all know this is an important component as it relates to writing because your sequential order, you want to make sure it is in order from the beginning, middle, end of what you're talking about. That's why it's important to focus on that body when you're writing, but we'll get to that later. So the students, yes, she gave details and she gave ways to conserve water, but her sentences were running together. The order of her writing, she needed some more support in that because she was just starting to list things and it seemed as if she was just talking. So that's why it's important to make sure you order your writing out whenever you're that draft before you actually submit the writing, as well as staying focused. Being focused on your writing is very important because you want to stay focused in your reading so that when someone else reads it, they're focused and they're not drifting off. Because once the reader starts to feel like they're just reading jumble, it can get easy to be uninterested in the writing. So you want to make sure you're staying focused, in which that student needs to make sure she's staying focused in her writing. And the student didn't really have many transitional phases, like next, finally, and as well as linking words. So for example, therefore, since, because, saving water, ... She needed more linking words and transitional phrases in her writing, which is important as well. And like I said earlier, the body. So we all know that when we're writing, the body is very important. This is why we have our students to draft and brainstorm before they actually write it down with their pencil. The body is very important because you want to have your introductory piece. You want to have your 3 main details and that main topic that goes underneath those details. And so the students need some more instructional support in developing her body. The student had information, but she just needed help with structuring it around to really get focused and to really get that effective writing piece that she needs. Some standards that I thought this student would need would be the ELA literacy writing standard of creating an organizational structure that lists reasons. So this is the body. That student needs help in focusing on the body. Yes, she stated an opinion. Another writing piece or another writing standard I said was she needed that transitional and linking words and phrases. So because, therefore, for example, just to connect her details, her reasoning, and to connect that opinion that she had at the beginning of the writing. These are all standards that the student needs to work on, what I would focus on with that student. So the next step, writing piece. So what's next? So after, I've analyzed the student writing piece and I'm about to, give her some feedback, what would I do next? So the next steps for this, I would have writing interventions for my student to help her improve her writing so she can become a fluent writer. And I'm going to make sure to practice on those linking and transitional words, because of course students, and they're not just going to know this, you have to model and provide that intervention for them because these are elementary students. So I would practice on those specific words and phrases that she can use in her writing. Next, finally, last, therefore, because. And this is important because it also helps to keep the flow and the focus of the writing. And when you tie in those phrases, what you're saying, it helps you go from one thing and move to the next in an orderly fashion. And like I said, it's keeping it focused. It's keeping a sequential order. So that's why it's important to work with your students on brainstorming before writing. So I would do this with her because I said one of her weaknesses was the body. She needs to develop that body. So getting her topic. Next thing you know, you want to work on that hook, in which she had a hook. And then you want to get those 3 to 4 main details, are also known as the focuses, for that body. This is helping to build upon your body that can help you to support your topic. And you want to have your focus when you're writing, because if you don't, like I said, it's easy for a reader to get sidetracked and become uninterested in your writing, and you don't want to miss out on important details that could really bring out your writing piece. And lastly, she needs to keep a sequential order when she writes and make sure to include important facts and all the necessary information to really draw the reader in and get them to believe that hook that you said, how you wanted them to save water. So really having all that information to make the reader even interested and believe what you're saying and agree with what you're saying. Some feedback I would give my student. So I would give the student sample back with annotated notes. So these are the annotated notes, kind of like previously, some of the things I said will be on this paper for the student. But I'm not just going to have weaknesses, because like I said, sometimes teachers can forget to include a strength because they're so focused on the weaknesses and deficits. So I want to highlight her writing strengths, but then I want to talk about those areas of improvement to make a stronger writing piece and to build a stronger sample and, make her develop in her writing as an author. So I explained to the student the importance of being focused. It's important that when you're writing, you're focused on what you're doing and precise when you're writing those sentences and you're developing those details in that body. Because you don't want to just feel like those sentences and all your details are just jumbling and running together and you're just talking about nothing. You want to make it be focused and you want to get your point across. And the body is really going to hit your topic and supporting information right on the nail. That's why that part is really important as you're writing, as well as the transitional phrases. They're important because, like I said, you can move from one sentence to the next in an orderly fashion and it'll all come together. And I show my student a few samples for the student and print out some transitional words and phrases that she could use in her writing. Because like I said, you have to model that. You have to show the student what you want and expect of them. And this would be an anchor chart I would use. Like I said, I want her to use some transition words and linking phrases So these are some she can use, first of all, initially, at first, in addition, in conclusion, to sum up her writing piece, as well as the Oreo method. You use this when you're writing an opinion piece because she, like I said at the beginning, she stated an opinion piece, so this could definitely be useful in the classroom. It's where the student states her opinion clearly, then you give a reason for that opinion, you give multiple examples, and then in the end, you're going to restate your opinion and you're going to provide that conclusion. So both of these will be very beneficial in the student coming together to create a sufficient and strong writing piece. And these would be the graphic organizers and rubric I would use. Being I said the body is very important, I think this would be a great graphic organizer. She would have her introduction. So that's like the main topic. And she can include the hook right here. And then this is where she gets her developing details, what's going to really make the heart of that writing. Gonna have 3 of those, 3 paragraphs, and then your conclusion. And then she can use this rubric to base off of, okay, am I at a 1 or am I at a 5? Or am I right in the middle? And we always want to aim our students for those 3s, 4s, and 5s. We don't want to have them anything below that because that's not, we're giving our students a disservice. We want our students to be up and challenge our students. So she can look at like word choice, her sentence, the organization of her writing, the ideas, so the details and everything she wrote down, as well as the voice, the prosody, and the conventions. You know, this is including her punctuation. So these are all important things whenever the student is writing. And these are my sources.